And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer. Paul Harvey wrote that speech in 1978 to the members of the National FFA organization. In his speech, he proceeded to elaborate on the importance of all the skills that our agriculturists across the country contained, and they withheld, and they did for things that nobody else could do. Agriculture is a significant part of our past, and that is no exception for the great state of Florida. Good morning. My name is Dakota Horlocker, and I am an avid agriculturist here in the state of Florida. And here I want to speak with you today about the Florida agricultural education and Florida agricultural awareness. Excuse me. 67% of the oranges produced in the United States and 40% of the oranges produced in the entire world is made just here in Florida. Florida produces over 300 agricultural commodities and is number 2 in the country for vegetable production. Although there's some issues that are occurring. The average age of our Florida farmer is 59 years old. Then, in the past 10 years alone, over 10 million acres of agricultural land has been sold out to developers due to the lack of involvement in agriculture and discouraged farmers and ranchers. 75% of our Florida citrus has been destroyed from diseases such as canker and greening. And this number is still increasing to this day. The United States Department of Agriculture, or the USDA as most people know it, did some research, and they have a projected amount that there's going to be an 18% decrease of citrus in the year of 2017. There's many other things that have been decreasing here in Florida agriculture, and with the blind eye on agriculture, our lawmakers are continuously trying to make budget cuts and grant cuts from government funding to programs that help promote agricultural education. And with the lack of knowledge, we have 2,344 high schools here in the state of Florida, and only 328 of those high schools provide an extensive agricultural education program. That's only 13% of the high schools in our great state that provide agricultural education. And as for colleges, we have 142 colleges here in the great state of Florida, and only 27% of those colleges offer. That's only 39 colleges that provide a degree in agriculture. In the graduating year of 2015-2016, 159,000 students graduated from our Florida high schools. That means over 100,000 students graduated in the past year that had no awareness whatsoever on Florida agriculture or even agricultural education at all. And when we have these students who have no education on Florida agriculture, this leaves them susceptible to misleading information and wrong information from anti-agricultural programs and organizations such as PETA, FFAC, Just Label It, GMO Free America, and many more. And with these young open minds that are all here to hear false information bashing agriculture, how do they not know any better? And they just accept this misleading information, which needs to stop. And you probably are wondering, you may be one of the ones who don't know about agriculture, and that's okay. But you've wondered, why does agriculture matter? Florida agriculture is the second largest economic booster here, bringing in over $104 billion each year to the Florida economy and employing over 2 million people. Florida agriculture leads the Southeast in farm income, and 80% of the vegetables that are consumed within the United States within the first 4 months of the year come from Florida. We know that the state of Florida is the second leading in vegetable production, second for nursery and greenhouse operations, and is the 7th largest producer of agricultural exports in the country. The leading economic factor here in Florida is obviously tourism, but the problem with tourism is very unstable. A prime example of that is back in 2001, when the Twin Towers fell, many people stopped travel, and tourism in Florida nearly halted. The only thing that kept the Florida economy afloat was Florida agriculture. People are always going to have to eat, therefore agriculture will always be needed. And there are many different organizations that are advocates for Florida agriculture and advocates for agriculture in general. And some of those that are here in Florida, I'll go ahead and tell you about. There's the Florida Farm Bureau, which everyone can become involved in. There's over 60 different offices and over 145,000 members across the state of Florida. And the Florida Farm Bureau, what their goal is and what they strive to be is they want to be the voice of agriculture. They go to help small farmers and advocate agriculture all across the state using many different organizations and programs such as Ag in the Classroom and giving out many different scholarships. And since 1998, the Florida Farm Bureau has given out over $150,000 in scholarships for students pursuing degrees in agriculture. Another very large advocate for Florida agriculture is the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, or FDACS as most people know it. I am actually employed by the Florida Department of Agriculture currently, and I work under the Division of Plant Industry doing nursery operations. This is a state-ran organization that involves everything agricultural related, from forestry to consumer services to don't pack a pest. Everything in Florida agriculture has a part in FDACS. And what FDACS does is they do many different programs, everything mostly through the Fresh from Florida program, which helps young farmers advertise their products as fresh from Florida. Two youth-led organizations are the Florida FFA and the Florida 4-H organizations. Both of these organizations are youth-led organizations that teach leadership, humility, responsibility, and agricultural education through career success and agriculture adventures and endeavors. Promoting agriculture is crucial. And I just listed a couple different organizations that are already out there and that are involved in agricultural education and awareness throughout our state. And many of the individuals who are watching this video will probably never even heard of them before. But that's okay. And we can change that, because what we need to do as a whole is we need to increase agricultural literacy by building stronger agricultural education programs in our schools and youth. Excuse me. We need to stimulate agricultural growth by starting more agricultural programs everywhere. We need to have more billboards, more signs, more grants. We need to go to our legislation, who may or may not have any knowledge whatsoever on Florida agriculture, and let them know what's going on with agriculture. We need to get people in legislation who have this background on Florida agriculture, and so they can help us out as a whole. Agriculture, or advocating agriculture here in Florida, will help out Florida agriculture tremendously, because we're having our young leaders of America growing up in Florida schoolings. And so when we bring these students up and we have them with the knowledge on Florida agriculture, it's going to tremendously help everything. And here's something I'm sure everyone's heard so far is the Program 2050. By the year 2050, we're going to have to be able to provide food for 9 billion people. And at the moment, we can't do that. Florida agriculture needs to do its part, and everyone needs to come and help join together and engage in the great area of agriculture and do their part in that inspiring task. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dakota Horlocker, and thank you for helping Florida agriculture.